Hello, and welcome to the 8D Sleep Lab. Before we begin our drift into the details, I have a small request. If you enjoy finding rest in boring places, please take a moment to click the like button. It helps other sleepy minds find this quiet space in the algorithm. And if you haven't already, subscribe to join our laboratory of calm. It is strangely comforting to know that while you sleep, others around the world are drifting off with you. Now, let us prepare the mind for rest. This session utilizes bilateral 8D audio. To experience the full hypnotic effect of the sound moving around you, headphones are highly recommended. If you are listening on a speaker, place your device on a nightstand for a steady experience. Now, find a position that allows your body to truly let go. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders away from your ears, and let your hands rest loosely by your sides. Tonight, we are not looking for excitement, we are looking for order. We will be exploring the etymological roots, the binding techniques, and the industrial history of the English dictionary. There is no plot to follow. There is no ending you need to stay awake for. Just let the words, the definitions, and the lists wash over you from ear to ear. Let us begin. The Dictionary, Part 1, The Origins of Order. The etymological origin of the English word dictionary is found in the medieval Latin word dictionarium. This stems from the Latin root dictio, meaning a saying or a speaking. The first recorded use of the term dictionarius as a noun occurred in the year 1225. Who used the title for a collection of Latin vocabulary words, arranged not alphabetically, but by subject matter. It is important to note that for the majority of human history, the concept of organizing words by their initial letter was not the standard methodology for lexical compilation. To understand the structural evolution of the dictionary, we must first consider the physical composition of the earliest known lexical texts. In the ancient city of Ebla, located in what is now modern-day Syria, archaeologists excavated a library containing clay tablets dating to approximately 2300 BCE. Among these artifacts were bilingual lists inscribed in cuneiform script. These tablets functioned as a rudimentary translation device, separating Sumerian logograms into one column and their Eblate phonetic spellings into a corresponding column. The clay used for these tablets was likely sourced from local riverbanks, filtered for particulate matter, formed into rectangular slabs, and impressed with a stylus made from a reed before being fired in a kiln or dried in the sun to ensure permanence. The standard Babylonian lexical list, known to scholars as the Urahubulu, was compiled early in the 2nd millennium BCE. This canonical text consisted of 24 distinct tablets. It did not provide definitions in the modern sense, but rather listed vocabulary in thematic categories. For example, Tablet 4 listed naval vehicles, Tablet 5 listed terrestrial vehicles, and tablets. 13 through 15 contained a systematic enumeration of domestic animals, wild animals, and cuts of meat. The scribe would copy these lists repeatedly as part of their scribal training, ensuring the preservation of the exact sequence of items for centuries. We proceed now to the medieval period, development of the glossary. During the Middle Ages, as Latin remained the dominant language of European scholarship, monks and scholars frequently encountered difficult or obscure terms within religious manuscripts. To aid comprehension, they would write a small explanatory word, known as a gloss, directly above the difficult line or in the margin of the page. Over time, these marginal glosses were collected and copied into separate lists to create a glossary. The Leiden glossary, dating to approximately 800 CE, is a primary example of this transitional form. It contains a collection of Latin words with their Old English equivalents. It was not until the 15th century, with the advent of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in Mainz, Germany, that the standardization of spelling became a logistical necessity. Prior to movable type, a scribe could vary the spelling of a word such as ghost or debt, based on regional dialect or personal preference without financial consequence. However, the mechanical alignment of lead-type swords, small rectangular blocks of metal containing a single character, required a consistent approach to orthography to maximize the efficiency of the typesetting process. The first monolingual English dictionary, that is, a book defining English words in English, was published in the year 1604. It was titled A Table Alphabetical. The author was Robert Corddry, a schoolmaster living in Oakham, Rutland. The full title of the work, printed on the title page, read, A Table Alphabetical, containing and teaching the true writing and understanding of hard, usual English words, borrowed from the Hebrew, Greek, Latin, or French. The physical dimensions of Corddry's original volume were small. The book measured approximately 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. It contained exactly 2,543 headwords. Corddry did not attempt to list every word in the English language. He focused solely on hard words that might confuse the uneducated reader. The definitions were brief. For example, the definition for the word cylinder was simply a roller. The definition for the word geometry was the art of measuring the earth. We must observe the specific methodology of alphabetization employed by Corddry. In his introduction, he found it necessary to explain the concept of alphabetical order to his readers, who may not have been familiar with it. He wrote, If thou be desirous, gentle reader, rightly and readily to understand, and to profit by this table, then thou must learn the alphabet, to wit, the order of the letters as they stand, perfectly without book, and where every letter standeth, as B near the beginning, N about the middest, and T toward the end. Following Corddry, the 17th century saw a slow accumulation of lexicographical works. In 1616, John Bullockar published An English Expositor. In 1623, Henry Cockerham published the English Dictionary. Cockerham's work is notable for being the first to use the word dictionary in its title. It was divided into 3 sections. The first section contained hard words. The second section contained vulgar words, translated into their more refined Latinate equivalents. And the third section was a dictionary of mythology and proper names. However, The most significant technical advancement in the pre-modern era occurred in the mid-18th century with the work of Samuel Johnson. In June of 1746, a group of London booksellers contracted Samuel Johnson to produce a dictionary that would stabilize the unruly English language. The contract was signed for a sum of £1,575. Johnson established his workspace in the garret of a house at 17 Gough Square, London. The room was fitted with a long trestle table. Johnson's method of compilation was strictly manual. He did not invent definitions from his own mind. Rather, he sought to document how words were actually used by respected authors. To do this, he read widely in the works of Shakespeare, Milton, Dryden, and Bacon. When he encountered a sentence that perfectly illustrated the meaning of a word, he would underline the sentence in pencil. He would then mark the vertical margins of the book, with the first letter of the word being illustrated. Johnson employed 6 assistants to help with the mechanical labor of transcription. 5 of these assistants were from Scotland. Their names were Macbean, Shields, Stewart, Maitland, and Macbean. The 6th was an Englishman named Peyton. These assistants would take the books Johnson had marked, identify the underlined passages, and copy them onto individual slips of paper. These slips were then sorted alphabetically and pasted onto larger sheets, leaving space for Johnson to write the definitions and etymologies. The resulting work, a dictionary of the English language, was published on April 15, 1755. It was a physical object of considerable mass. The first edition was printed in 2 folio volumes. The paper used was heavy rag paper made from discarded cotton and linen textiles that had been pulped and pressed. The ink was a mixture of lamp black, soot, and varnish. The text contained 42,773 word entries and 114,000 illustrative quotations. We turn now to the specific typographic layout of Johnson's 1755 dictionary. The text was set in 2 columns per page. The headwords were printed in bold uppercase letters. The etymologies appeared in brackets immediately following the headword. Johnson was meticulous in distinguishing between the different senses of a word. For the word take, Johnson identified and numbered 134 separate meanings. For the word put, he identified 64 meanings. The Dictionary, Part 2, the Oxford Project and the Physics of Ink. We move forward in time to the 19th century and the conception of the most ambitious lexicographical project in the English language, the Oxford English Dictionary. The origins of this massive undertaking can be traced to a specific meeting of the Philological Society of London, held in the year 1857. At this meeting, Richard Chenevix Trench presented a technical paper titled "On Some Deficiencies in Our English Dictionaries." Trench argued that a dictionary should not act as a critic of the language, selecting only good words. Rather, it should act as a historian, documenting every word that had ever existed in the language, regardless of its propriety or elegance. This philosophy necessitated a manufacturing process of unprecedented scale. The editors issued a public appeal for volunteer readers. These volunteers were asked to read books from specific historical periods and record interesting words on small slips of paper. The standard size for these slips was exactly 4 inches by 6 inches. The instructions for filling out a slip were precise. The volunteer was to write the head word in the top left corner, the date of the quotation in the top right corner, and the full sentence containing the word in the center of the slip. Between 1857 and 1879, the project stalled due to the sheer logistical weight of the collected materials. In 1879, James Murray was appointed editor. He constructed a corrugated iron outbuilding in his garden at Mill Hill School to house the slips. He called this building the scriptorium. The interior of the scriptorium was lined with pigeonholes, wooden compartments designed to hold the sorting bundles. At the height of the project, there were more than 1,000 pigeonholes containing millions of individual paper slips. The sorting process was manual and highly repetitive. A junior assistant would receive a bundle of unsorted slips. They would first sort them by letter. Then they would sort them by the first 2 letters, ma, mi, mo, mu. Then by the first 3 letters. Eventually, the slips for a single word, such as set, would be gathered together. The word set ultimately required over 55,000 words of description and 18 pages of print to define. Let us now examine the physical chemistry involved in printing a volume of this magnitude, specifically the composition of the ink. Black printing ink, traditionally used for high-density reference books, consists of 2 primary components, the pigment and the vehicle. The pigment provides the color. For black ink, this is almost exclusively carbon black. Carbon black is produced by the incomplete combustion of heavy petroleum product or natural gas. The resulting soot is collected and treated to ensure a consistent particle size, typically between 10 and 500 nanometers. These microscopic particles absorb 99.8% of visible light, creating the high contrast necessary for reading small typography. The vehicle, or the varnish, is the fluid that carries the pigment. In traditional offset lithography, the vehicle is often a mixture of vegetable oils, such as linseed oil or soybean oil, combined with phenolic resins. The viscosity of the ink, its resistance to flow, must be carefully calculated. If the ink is too tack-free, it will emulsify in the dampening solution of the printing press. If the ink is too tacky, it will cause picking, where the surface fibers of the paper are ripped away by the sticky ink. Once printed, the ink dries through a 2-stage process. First, the solvent penetrates the paper fibers, setting the ink. Second, the oil undergoes oxidative polymerization, reacting with oxygen in the air to harden into a solid film. We conclude with the transition to modern digital lexicography. In the 1980s, the Oxford University Press decided to digitize the entire text of the dictionary. This process was not automated. It required the manual retyping of the text by a team of 120 typists located in Florida. They did not simply type the words. They were required to add structural tags using a coding system known as SGML, Standard Generalized Markup Language. For example, a head word would be enclosed in a specific tag. A pronunciation guide would be enclosed in a different tag. This structure allowed the dictionary to be transformed from a static physical book into a dynamic database. Today, lexicographers no longer rely on paper slips stored in iron sheds. They utilize a method known as corpus linguistics. A corpus is a massive searchable database of real-world text. Modern algorithms crawl the internet, scanning billions of words from news articles, blogs, and social media posts. The software analyzes the frequency of word usage. If a new word, such as microtransaction, appears with a frequency above a certain statistical threshold, it is flagged for review. The lexicographer then analyzes the concordance lines, seeing the word in context, to determine if it has stabilized enough to warrant inclusion. This process removes human bias, reducing the definition of language to a pure mathematical frequency. The Dictionary, Part 3, the Notation of Sound and the Industrial Binding. We turn our attention now to the precise technical notation of sound, the International Phonetic Alphabet. Before a word can be defined, it must be pronounced. In 1888, the International Phonetic Association published a standardized system of symbols designed to represent every possible sound the human vocal tract can produce. This system, known as the IPA, relies on the strict categorization of pulmonic consonants. Let us consider the mechanics of a single sound. The unvoiced bilabial plosive. In the dictionary, this is represented by the symbol P. To produce this sound, the orbicularis oris muscles contract, pressing the upper and lower lips together to create an airtight seal. Air pressure builds up behind this obstruction. When the lips part, the air is released in a sudden burst, or plosion, without vibration of the vocal cords. Contrast this with the voiced alveolar fricative, represented by the symbol Z. Here, the tongue approaches the alveolar ridge, the gum line behind the upper teeth, without making complete contact. Air is forced through this narrow channel, creating turbulence, while the vocal folds vibrate simultaneously. This technical notation allows a reader in Tokyo, or a reader in Berlin, to pronounce a word they have never heard, with near-perfect acoustic accuracy. It reduces the chaotic nature of speech to a linear visual code. Finally, we examine the industrial binding of the physical volume. Once the thousands of pages have been printed and gathered into signatures, they must be encased in a protective shell. The standard material for a library-grade dictionary cover is buckram cloth. Buckram is a stiff cotton fabric that has been impregnated with a filler agent, usually pyroxylin, a type of nitrocellulose. This coating makes the cloth resistant to moisture, oil, and mildew. The cloth is fed through a calendering machine where heavy steel rollers apply immense pressure and heat, giving the fabric a smooth, polished finish. The lettering on the spine of the dictionary is applied through a process called hot foil stamping. A brass die engraved with the title is heated to a temperature of approximately 120 degrees Celsius. A thin strip of gold foil suspended on a polyester carrier film is placed between the heated die and the buckram spine. The press descends. The heat releases the gold pigment from the carrier film, and the pressure bonds it permanently into the texture of the cloth. The result is a silent, heavy object, a static repository of human thought. It sits on the shelf, waiting, closed, stable, complete. The Dictionary, Part 4, The Chemistry of Paper. We pause our examination of the text to consider the substrate upon which the words rest. The paper. For a dictionary to exist, trees must be converted into a fibrous mat. This transformation occurs through a chemical procedure known as the Kraft process. The word Kraft comes from the German word for strength. It was developed by Karl F. Dahl in 1879 in Danzig, Prussia. The process begins with the raw material, wood chips. These chips are typically sourced from softwood species such as pine, spruce, or fir. Softwoods are preferred because they possess longer fibers, which provide greater structural integrity to the final sheet. The wood chips are fed into a massive high-pressure vessel known as a digester. Inside the digester, the wood is mixed with a powerful chemical solution called white liquor. White liquor is a mixture of sodium hydroxide and sodium sulfide. The chips are cooked in this caustic bath at a temperature of 170 degrees Celsius for a period of several hours. The goal of this cooking phase is to dissolve the lignin. Lignin is the organic polymer that binds the cellulose fibers together. It is the glue of the tree. If the lignin is not removed, the paper will be brown and brittle. As the lignin dissolves, the wood chips break down into a soft, mushy pulp. This pulp is known as brown stock. The brown stock is then blown out of the digester into a blow tank. The sudden drop in pressure causes the remaining wood chips to explode into individual fibers. The pulp is then washed to remove the spent cooking chemicals, now known as black liquor. The black liquor is not discarded. It is sent to a recovery boiler where it is burned to generate steam and to recover the inorganic chemicals for reuse. This is a closed-loop cycle. Next, the pulp must be bleached. Dictionary paper must be bright white to provide high contrast for the small text. The bleaching process typically utilizes chlorine dioxide and hydrogen peroxide. These chemicals oxidize the remaining lignin molecules, removing their color without damaging the cellulose chains. The result is a slurry of pure white cellulose fibers suspended in water. The consistency is that of a thin soup. It is 99% water and 1% fiber. This slurry is pumped into the headbox of the paper machine. The most common type of machine used for this purpose is the Fourdrinier machine. The headbox sprays the slurry onto a moving mesh belt, known as the wire. As the wire moves, water drains away through the mesh, leaving a wet mat of fibers behind. The fibers align themselves in the direction of the machine's movement. This is known as the grain direction of the paper. The wet web of paper, still containing roughly 80% water, passes into the press section. Here, heavy felt rollers squeeze the paper, pressing out more water and compacting the fibers. Finally, the paper enters the dryer section. The sheet weaves its way through a series of steam-heated cast-iron cylinders. The heat evaporates the remaining moisture. At the end of the line, the paper passes through a calendar stack. Steel rollers apply extreme pressure, ironing the paper smooth to ensure a uniform thickness. For a standard dictionary page, the target thickness is often less than 0.08 millimeters. This is known as Bible paper or lightweight offset paper. It must be thin enough to fit thousands of pages into a single spine, yet strong enough to be turned again and again and again. The Dictionary, Part 5, The Mechanics of Type. We leave the paper factory and return to the letters themselves. Before the digital age, every word in a dictionary existed as a physical object, a piece of metal, heavy, cold, and precise. This brings us to the invention of movable type and the specific metallurgy required to make it possible. Johannes Gutenberg, working in Mainz in the 1450s, did not simply invent a machine. He invented a recipe for metal. He discovered that pure lead was too soft to withstand the pressure of the printing press. It would deform after only a few hundred impressions. Pure iron, on the other hand, was too hard. It required too high a temperature to melt and would burn the paper molds. Gutenberg developed a precise alloy, which remains largely unchanged in letterpress printing to this day. The formula consists of 3 elements: lead, tin, and antimony. The lead acts as the base volume. It is cheap and melts at a relatively low temperature. The tin is added to increase the fluidity of the molten mixture. It allows the liquid metal to flow into the tiniest corners of the mold, capturing the finest hairline details of the letter. The antimony is the secret ingredient. Unlike most substances which shrink when they cool, antimony expands as it solidifies. This expansion forces the alloy tightly against the walls of the mold, ensuring a sharp, crisp definition of the character. The typical ratio for this alloy is 85% lead, 12% antimony, and 3% tin. Let us visualize the anatomy of a single piece of type. It is a rectangular block, roughly 1 inch high. The face of the block carries the raised image of the letter. This face has specific geographical regions. The flat top of the letter is called the apex. The horizontal stroke in the letter A or H is called the crossbar. The small decorative feet at the ends of the strokes are called serifs. In a traditional dictionary typeface, such as Times New Roman or Baskerville, these serifs guide the eye horizontally along the line of text. We must also consider the vertical alignment. Imagine a line running along the bottom of the letters. This is the baseline, the height of a lowercase x. Sitting on this line is known as the x-height. Letters such as H, L, and K have vertical strokes that rise above the x-height. These are called ascenders. Letters such as P, Q, and G have strokes that dip below the baseline. These are called descenders. In a dictionary, where space is at a premium, the designers must carefully balance the size of the x-height against the length of the ascenders and descenders. If the ascenders are too tall, the lines of text must be spaced further apart, wasting paper. If they are too short, the text becomes a dense, unreadable block. For centuries, these metal letters were picked by hand, one by one, from a wooden case. The capital letters were kept in the upper section of the case, hence the term uppercase. The small letters were kept in the lower section, hence lowercase. A skilled typesetter could assemble roughly 2,000 letters per hour, but a dictionary contains millions of letters. The manual composition of the Oxford English Dictionary would have taken lifetimes without the intervention of the machine. Enter Ottmar Mergenthaler and the invention of the linotype machine in 1884. The linotype did not set individual letters. It cast an entire line of type at once. The operator sat at a keyboard, similar to a typewriter, but with 90 keys. When a key was pressed, a brass matrix, a small mold for a single letter, dropped from a magazine at the top of the machine. These matrices slid down a chute and assembled themselves in a row. Once the line was complete, the machine pumped molten lead at 550 degrees Fahrenheit into the matrices. The metal cooled instantly, forming a solid slug of type. The machine then automatically returned the brass matrices to their storage slots, ready to be used again. The sound of the linotype machine was a rhythmic, mechanical clatter. The drop of the brass, the hum of the boiler, the hiss of the steam, the thud of the slug falling into the tray, line after line, page after page, defining the world in hot lead. The Dictionary, Part 6, The Science of Classification. The dictionary is now printed, it is bound, it is complete, but a single book in a pile of thousands is lost without a system of retrieval. We therefore enter the quiet, dust-filled world of library science. Before 1876, libraries were arranged by fixed location. A book was assigned a specific shelf and a specific slot on that shelf. If the library moved to a new building, every book had to be relabeled. If a shelf became full, no new books could be added to that subject. It was a rigid, inefficient architecture. Enter Melville Dewey. Working as an assistant librarian at Amherst College at the age of 21, Dewey conceived of a system based on relative location. He realized that books should be organized by subject, not by shelf. He chose the decimal system as his framework, dividing all human knowledge into 10 main classes. Let us recite these classes in their numerical order. 000, Computer Science, Information and General Works. 100, Philosophy and Psychology. 200, Religion. 300, Social Sciences. 400, Language. 500, Science. 600, Technology. 700, Arts and Recreation. 800, Literature. 900, History and Geography. Since we are discussing the dictionary, we must look closer at the 400 class, language, but the classification does not stop there. It divides further. 410 is linguistics. 420 is English and Old English. 430 is Germanic languages. 440 is French. The system allows for infinite precision through the use of the decimal point. A dictionary of English etymology sits specifically at 422.03. A dictionary of English slang sits at 427.09. Every book has a home, a numerical coordinate. That never changes. To manage this vast inventory, the library relies on the card catalogue. This is a furniture of specific dimensions. It consists of a series of wooden cabinets, usually constructed from oak or maple. Each cabinet contains narrow drawers known as trays. Inside each tray rests a stack of paper cards. The standard library catalogue card measures exactly 7.5 centimeters by 12.5 centimeters. This standard was established in the late 19th century and became universal. The paper stock for these cards must be durable. It is typically a heavy cardstock, 110 pounds in weight, made from 100% rag fiber. This ensures the card does not tear, despite thousands of fingers flipping through it over the decades. At the bottom center of every card, there is a single circular hole. This hole is critical. A metal rod, usually brass, passes through the front of the wooden drawer, through the holes in the cards, and locks into the back of the drawer. This prevents a patron from removing a card and disrupting the alphabetical order. To find a dictionary, one must walk to the cabinet, pull the drawer, and begin the search. The sound of the search is distinct, the soft thwip, thwip, thwip of the cards turning. Finger against paper, searching for D, dic, dict, dictionary. The information is typed in strict format: author, title, place of publication, publisher, date. It is a system of total control, a silence built of wood, paper, and numbers. The Dictionary, Part 7, The Thesaurus and Peter Roget. We step away from the alphabet and enter the realm of the concept. While the dictionary defines what a word means, the Thesaurus defines how words relate. It is not a book of definitions. It is a treasury of alternatives. The word thesaurus comes from the Greek thesaurus, meaning storehouse or treasure. The architect of this storehouse was Peter Mark Roget. Roget was not a linguist by trade. He was a physician, a mathematician, and an inventor. Born in London in 1779, he was a man possessed by a need for order. He was obsessed with lists. He kept lists of chess problems. He kept lists of weather patterns. He even invented a log-log slide rule to calculate the roots and powers of numbers. For Roget, the chaos of the world was a source of deep anxiety. Classifying the world into lists was his method of control. He began the project in the year 1805. He called it his secret catalogue. For nearly 50 years, he worked on it in silence. He did not simply list words alphabetically. That would be too simple. He wanted to map the entire scope of human thought. He divided all possible ideas into 6 primary classes. Let us recite the architecture of his mind. Class 1, abstract relations. Class 2, space. Class 3, matter. Class 4, intellect. Class 5, volition. Class 6, affection. Under these 6 classes, he created 1,000 distinct categories. Category 1 was existence. Category 1,000 was religious rites. Every concept had its place. If you wanted to find the word silence, you did not look under S. You looked under Class 2, space. Section 4, sound. Subsection 1, non-sound. Category number 403, silence. Let us listen to the contents of Category 403. The list begins with the nouns: silence, stillness, peace, hush, lull, muteness, solemnity, dead of night, death-like silence. The verbs follow: to be silent, to hold one's tongue, to stifle, to muffle, to gag, to quiet. The adjectives: silent, still, hushed, mute, aphonous, speechless, hollow, sepulchral. Roget finally published his work in 1852. He was 73 years old. The full title was Thesaurus of English Words and Phrases, classified and arranged so as to facilitate the expression of ideas and assist in literary composition. The first edition contained 15,000 words. The printing was done by Spottiswoode and Company of New Street Square, London. It is worth noting the physical act of Roget's writing. He did not use a typewriter. He wrote with a quill pen, and later a steel dip pen. The ink was iron gall ink, which darkens as it oxidizes. He wrote on small slips of paper, ordering, reordering, grouping, subgrouping. He found comfort in the synonyms, the repetition of the same idea in slightly different clothing. Consider the entry for sleep, category 683, slumber, doze, nap, snooze, siesta, hibernation, torpor, coma, land of nod, heavy eyelids, drowsiness, somnolence. The list creates a downward spiral, a ladder of words leading slowly into the dark. The Dictionary, Part 8, The Invisible Code. We arrive now at the final stage of evolution. The dictionary leaves the physical world entirely. It sheds the weight of the lead type. It sheds the chemistry of the paper pulp. It becomes light. It becomes a sequence of electrical pulses, 0 and 1. In the early 1960s, as computers began to process text, engineers faced a problem of translation. A computer does not understand the letter A. It understands only the presence or absence of voltage, on or off. To solve this, a committee was formed under the American Standards Association. In 1963, they published a standard that would become the backbone of digital text. They called it ASCII, the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. ASCII is a 7-bit code. This means every letter, every number, and every symbol is represented by a unique sequence of 7 binary digits. The system allows for exactly 128 distinct characters. Let us examine the digital anatomy of the word dictionary. The capital letter D. In the ASCII table, this is decimal number 68. In binary, it is written as 1 0 0 0 1 0 0. The lowercase letter I. Decimal number 105. Binary 1 1 0 1 0 0 1. The lowercase letter C. Decimal number 99. Binary 1 1 0 0 0 1 1. For decades, this simple grid was sufficient for the English language, but the world is not English. ASCII could not contain the accented vowels of French. It could not contain the kanji of Japanese. It could not contain the Cyrillic script of Russian. The digital dictionary required a larger vessel. In the late 1980s, engineers from Xerox, and Apple began to design a new system. They called it Unicode. Unicode is not limited to 7 bits. It uses 16 bits, or 32 bits. It assigns a unique code point to every character in every human language. These code points are written in hexadecimal notation. Hexadecimal is a base 16 numbering system. The letter A is no longer just 65. It is U plus 0, 0, 4, 1. The Greek letter omega, it is U plus 0, 3, A, 9. The mathematical symbol for infinity, it is U plus 2, 2, 1, E. The Unicode standard now contains over 149,000 characters. It includes the ancient cuneiform of the Sumerians, which we discussed at the very beginning of this documentary. The clay tablets of Ebla are now encoded in silicon. The circle is complete. The dictionary is no longer a book. It is a stream, invisible, silent, flowing through the glass of your screen. It waits for you to type. And when you are done, the computer writes the final character, the null character, all zeros, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 point. End of string, end of process, end of file. Long silence. The Dictionary, Part 9, the letter A, an inventory. A claim, verb, to praise enthusiastically and publicly. Acclimate, verb, to become accustomed to a new climate or to new conditions. Accommodate, verb, to provide lodging or sufficient space for, to fit in with the wishes or needs of. Accompany, verb, to go somewhere with someone, as a companion or escort, to be present or occur at the same time as. Accomplish, verb, to achieve or complete successfully. Accord, verb, to give or grant someone power, status, or recognition, to be harmonious or consistent with. Accordion, noun, a portable musical instrument with metal reeds blown by bellows, played by pressing keys and buttons. Account, noun, a report or description of an event or experience, a record or statement of financial expenditure. Accouter, verb, to clothe or equip in something noticeable or impressive. Accredit, verb, to give credit to someone for something, to officially recognize as having a particular status or being qualified. Accretion, noun, the process of growth or increase, typically by the gradual accumulation of additional layers or matter. Accrue, verb, to accumulate or receive, such as payments or benefits, over time. Accumulate, verb, to gather together or acquire an increasing number or quantity of. Accurate, adjective, correct in all details. Exact. A curse, verb, to put a curse on, to loathe. Accuse, verb, to charge someone with an offense or crime, to claim that someone has done something wrong. Accustom, verb, to make someone familiar with, to become used to. Ace, noun, a playing card with a single spot on it, ranked as the highest card in its suit in most card games. A person who excels at a particular sport or other activity. Acerbity, noun, sharpness and directness in speech, sourness of taste. Acetate, noun, a salt or ester of acetic acid, a cellulose derivative used to make fibers or plastic. Acetic, adjective, of or pertaining to vinegar, sour. Acetylene, noun, a colorless gas, burning with a bright flame, used in welding. Ache, verb, to suffer from a continuous dull pain. Achieve, verb, to successfully bring about or reach a desired objective, level, or result by effort, skill, or courage. Acid, noun, a chemical substance that neutralizes alkalis, dissolves some metals, and turns litmus red, typically a corrosive or sour-tasting liquid. Acknowledge, verb, to accept or admit the existence or truth of, to recognize the fact or importance or quality of. Acme, noun, the point at which someone or something is best, perfect, or most successful. Acne, noun, the occurrence of inflamed or infected sebaceous glands in the skin. Aconite, noun, a poisonous plant of the buttercup family, also known as wolfsbane. Acorn, noun, the fruit of the oak tree, a smooth oval nut in a rough cup-shaped base. Acoustic, adjective, relating to sound or the sense of hearing, not having electrical amplification. A quaint verb, to make someone aware of or familiar with. Acquiesce, verb, to accept something reluctantly but without protest. Acquire, verb, to buy or obtain for oneself, to learn or develop a skill, habit, or quality. Acquit, verb, to free someone from a criminal charge by a verdict of not guilty, to conduct oneself or perform in a specified way. Acre, noun, a unit of land area equal to 4,840 square yards. Acrid, adjective, having an irritatingly strong and unpleasant taste or smell. Acrimony, noun, bitterness or ill feeling. Acrobat, noun, an entertainer who performs gymnastic feats. Acropolis, noun, a citadel or fortified part of an ancient Greek city, typically built on a hill. Across, preposition, from one side to the other of, on the other side of. Acrostic, noun, a poem, word puzzle, or other composition in which certain letters in each line form a word or words. Act, verb, to take action, to do something, to behave in the way specified. Action, noun, the fact or process of doing something, typically to achieve an aim. Activate, verb, to make operative, to set in motion. Active, adjective, engaging or ready to engage in physically energetic pursuits. Actor, noun, a person whose profession is acting on the stage, in movies, or on television. Actual, adjective. Existing, in fact, typically as contrasted with what was intended, expected, or believed. Actuary, noun. A person who compiles and analyzes statistics and uses them to calculate insurance risks and premiums. Actuate, verb. To cause a machine or device to operate. Acumen, noun. The ability to make good judgments and quick decisions, typically in a particular domain. Acute, adjective. Present or experienced to a severe or intense degree, having or showing a perceptive understanding or insight. Adage, noun. A proverb or short statement expressing a general truth. Adagio, adverb, in slow tempo, used chiefly as a direction in music. Adamant, adjective, refusing to be persuaded or to change one's mind. Adapt, verb, to make something suitable for a new use or purpose. To modify. Add, verb, to join something to something else so as to increase the size, number, or amount. Adder, noun, a small venomous Eurasian snake having a dark zigzag pattern on its back. Addict, noun, a person who is addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. Addition, noun, the action or process of adding something to something else. Addle, verb, to make unable to think clearly, to confuse. Address, noun, the particulars of the place where someone lives or an organization is situated, a formal speech delivered to an audience. Adduce, verb, to cite as evidence. Adenoid, noun, a mass of enlarged lymphatic tissue between the back of the nose and the throat. Adept, adjective, very skilled or proficient at something. Adequate, adjective, satisfactory or acceptable in quality or quantity. Adhere, verb, to stick fast to a surface or substance. To believe in and follow the practices of. Adhesion, noun, the action or process of adhering to a surface or object. Adieu, exclamation, goodbye. Adipose, adjective, used for the storage of fat. Adjacent, adjective, next to or adjoining something else. Adjective, noun, a word or phrase naming an attribute added to or grammatically related to a noun to modify or describe it. Adjoin, verb, to be next to and joined with. Adjourn, verb, to break off a meeting, legal case, or game with the intention of resuming it later. Adjudge, verb, to consider or declare to be true or the case. Adjudicate, verb, to make a formal judgment or decision about a problem or disputed matter. Adjunct, noun, a thing added to something else as a supplementary rather than an essential part. Adjure, verb, to urge or request someone solemnly or earnestly to do something. adjust, verb, to alter or move something slightly in order to achieve the desired fit, appearance, or result. Adjutant, noun, a military officer who acts as an administrative assistant to a senior officer. Administer, verb, to manage and be responsible for the running of a business, organization, or event. Admiral, noun, a commander of a fleet, a naval officer of very high rank. Admire, verb, to regard with respect or warm approval, to look at something impressive or attractive with pleasure. Admissible, adjective, acceptable or valid, especially as evidence in a court of law. Admission, noun, a statement acknowledging the truth of something. The process or fact of entering or being allowed to enter a place. Admit, verb, to confess to be true or to be the case, to allow to enter. Admix, verb, to mix something with something else. Admonish, verb, to warn or reprimand someone firmly. Ado, noun, a state of agitation or fuss, especially about something unimportant. Adobe, noun, a kind of clay used as a building material, typically in the form of sun-dried bricks. Adopt, verb, to legally take another's child and bring it up as one's own. To choose to take up or follow an idea, method, or course of action. Adore, verb, to love and respect deeply, to worship. Adorn, verb, to make more beautiful or attractive. Adrenal, adjective, relating to the adrenal glands, which secrete hormones in response to stress. Adrift, adjective, floating without being either moored or steered, without purpose or guidance. Adroit, adjective, clever or skillful in using the hands or mind. Adsorb, verb, to hold molecules of a gas or liquid or solute as a thin film on the outside surface or on internal surfaces within the material. Adulate, verb, to praise excessively or obsequiously. Adult, noun, a person who is fully grown or developed. Adulterate, verb, to render something poorer in quality by adding another substance, typically an inferior one. Adumbrate, verb, to report or represent in outline, to foreshadow or symbolize. Advance, verb, to move forward in a purposeful way, to make progress. Advantage, noun, a condition or circumstance that puts one in a favorable or superior position. Advent, noun, the arrival of a notable person, thing, or event. Adventure, noun, an unusual and exciting or daring experience. Adverb, noun, a word or phrase that modifies or qualifies an adjective, verb, or other adverb. Adversary, noun, one's opponent in a contest, conflict, or dispute. Adverse, adjective, preventing success or development, harmful, unfavorable. Advert, verb, to refer to in speaking or writing. Advertise, verb, to describe or draw attention to a product, service, or event in a public medium in order to promote sales. Advice, noun, guidance or recommendations offered with regard to prudent future action. Advise. Verb, to offer suggestions about the best course of action to someone. Advocate, noun, a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy. Adze, noun, a tool similar to an axe, with an arched blade at right angles to the handle, used for cutting or shaping large pieces of wood. Aegis, noun, the protection, backing, or support of a particular person or organization. Aeolian, adjective, relating to or arising from the action of the wind. Aerate, verb, to introduce air into a material. Aerial, adjective, existing, happening, or operating in the air. Airy, noun, a large nest of a bird of prey, typically built high in a tree or on a cliff. Aerobic, adjective, relating to, involving, or requiring free oxygen. Aerodrome, noun, a location from which aircraft flight operations take place. Aerolite, noun, a meteorite that consists mainly of stony material. Aeronaut, noun, a traveler in a hot air balloon, airship, or other flying craft. Aeroplane, noun, a powered flying vehicle with fixed wings and a weight greater than that of the air it displaces. Aerosol, noun, a substance enclosed under pressure and able to be released as a fine spray. Aesthete, noun, a person who has or affects to have a special appreciation of art and beauty. Aesthetic, adjective, concerned with beauty or the appreciation of beauty. Afar, adverb, at or to a distance. Affable, adjective, friendly, good-natured, or easy to talk to. Affair, noun, an event or sequence of events of a specified kind, a matter that is a particular person's concern or responsibility. Affect, verb, to have an effect on, to make a difference to. Affection, noun, a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. Afferent, adjective, conducting or conducted inward or toward something. Affidavit, noun, a written statement confirmed by oath or affirmation for use as evidence in court. Affiliate, verb, to officially attach or connect a subsidiary group or a person to an organization. Affinity, noun, a spontaneous or natural liking or sympathy for someone or something. Affirm, verb, to state as a fact strongly and publicly. Affix, verb, to stick, attach, or fasten something to something else. Afflict, verb, to cause pain or suffering to affect or trouble. Affluence, noun, the state of having a great deal of money, wealth, afford, verb, to have enough money to pay for, to provide or supply, affray, noun, an instance of fighting in a public place that disturbs the peace, affront, noun, an action or remark that causes outrage or offense, Afghan, noun, a person from Afghanistan, a knitted or crocheted blanket or shawl, a field, adverb, to or at a distance, a fire, adjective, on fire, burning, a flame, adjective, in flames, burning, afloat, adjective, floating in water, not sinking, afoot, adverb, in preparation or progress, happening or beginning to happen, afore, preposition, before, a foul, adverb, into conflict or difficulty with, afraid, adjective, feeling fear or anxiety, frightened, afresh, adverb, in a new or different way, African, adjective, relating to Africa or its people, aft, adverb, at, near, or toward the stern of a ship or tail of an aircraft, after, preposition, in the time following, behind, afternoon, noun, the time from noon or lunchtime to evening, afterthought, noun, something that is thought of or added later, afterward, adverb, at a later or future time, aga, noun, a commander or chief officer in the Ottoman Empire, again, adverb, another time, once more, against, preposition, in opposition to, in contact or collision with, agape, adjective, wide open, especially with surprise or wonder, agate, noun, an ornamental stone consisting of a hard variety of chalcedony, typically banded in appearance. Agave, noun, a succulent plant, typically with spiny margined leaves. Age, noun, the length of time that a person has lived or a thing has existed. Agenda, noun, a list of items to be discussed at a formal meeting. Agent, noun, a person who acts on behalf of another person or group. Agglomerate, verb, to collect or form into a mass or group. Agglutinate, verb, to firmly stick or be stuck together to form a mass. Aggrandize, verb, to increase the power, status, or wealth of. Aggravate, verb, to make a problem, injury, or offense worse or more serious. Aggregate, noun, a whole formed by combining several elements. Aggress, verb, to attack or act aggressively. Aggrieve, verb, to give grief to cause to suffer. Aghast, adjective, filled with horror or shock. Agile, adjective, able to move quickly and easily. Agitate, Verb: to make someone troubled or nervous, to stir or disturb briskly. Aglow. Adjective: glowing. Agnostic. Noun: a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence or nature of God. Ago. Adverb: before the present. Agog. Adjective: very eager or curious to hear or see something. Agony. Noun: extreme physical or mental suffering. Agree. Verb: to have the same opinion about something, to consent to do something. Agriculture. Noun: the science or practice of farming, including cultivation of the soil for the growing of crops. Aground. Adjective: touching the bottom in shallow water. Ag. Noun: malaria or some other illness involving fever and shivering. Ahead. Adverb: further forward in space. In the lead. Aid. Noun: help, typically of a practical nature. Aid. Noun: an assistant to an important person, especially to a political leader. Aigrette. Noun: a headdress consisting of a white egret's feather or other plume. Ale. Verb: to trouble or afflict in mind or body. Aileron. Noun: a hinged surface in the trailing edge of an airplane wing, used to control lateral balance. Aim. Verb: to point or direct a weapon or camera at a target, to have the intention of achieving. Air. Noun: the invisible gaseous substance surrounding the Earth, a mixture mainly of oxygen and nitrogen. Aircraft. Noun: an airplane, helicopter, or other machine capable of flight. Airedale. Noun: a large terrier of a rough-coated black and tan breed. Airfield. Noun: an area of land set aside for the takeoff, landing, and maintenance of aircraft. Airplane. Noun: a powered flying vehicle with fixed wings. Airport. Noun: a complex of runways and buildings for the takeoff, landing, and maintenance of civil aircraft. Airship. Noun: a power-driven aircraft that is kept buoyant by a body of gas. Airy. Adjective: spacious, well-lit, and well-ventilated. Aisle. Noun: a passage between rows of seats. Ajar. Adjective: slightly open. Akimbo. Adverb: with hands on the hips and elbows turned outward. Akin. Adjective: of similar character. Alabaster. Noun: a fine-grained, translucent form of gypsum, typically white, used for carving. Alacrity. Noun: brisk and cheerful readiness. Alarm. Noun: an anxious awareness of danger, a warning sound. Albatross. Noun: a very large oceanic bird with long, narrow wings. Album. Noun: a blank book for the insertion of photographs, stamps, or other items. Albumen, noun, egg white, or the protein contained in it. Alchemist, noun, a person who practices alchemy, the medieval forerunner of chemistry. Alcohol, noun, a colorless, volatile, flammable liquid that is the intoxicating constituent of wine, beer, spirits, and other drinks. Alcove, noun, a recess, typically in the wall of a room or of a garden. Alder, noun, a widely distributed tree of the birch family, growing in moist ground. Alderman, noun, a member of a municipal council. Ale, noun, a type of beer with a bitter flavor and higher alcohol content. Alert, adjective, quick to notice any unusual and potentially dangerous or difficult circumstances. Alfalfa, noun, a leguminous plant with clover-like leaves and blue flowers, grown as feed for livestock. Alga, noun, a simple, non-flowering plant of a large group that includes the seaweeds. Algebra, noun, the part of mathematics in which letters and other general symbols are used to represent numbers and quantities. Alias, noun, a false or assumed identity. Alibi, noun, a claim or piece of evidence that one was elsewhere when an act, typically a criminal one, is alleged to have taken place. Alien, adjective, belonging to a foreign country or nation. Alienate, verb, to cause someone to feel isolated or estranged. A light, verb, to descend from a train, bus, or other form of transport. A line verb, to place or arrange things in a straight line, alike. Adjective, similar to each other. Aliment, noun, food, nourishment. Alimony, noun, financial support that a person is ordered by a court to give to their spouse during separation or following divorce. Alive, adjective, living, not dead. Alkali, noun, a chemical compound that neutralizes or effervesces with acids and turns litmus blue. Or determiner, the whole quantity or extent of a particular group or thing. Allay, verb, to diminish or put at rest, fear, suspicion, or worry. Allege, verb, to claim or assert that someone has done something illegal or wrong, typically without proof. Allegiance, noun, loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior or of an individual to a group or cause. Allegory, noun, a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. Allegro, adverb, at a brisk tempo. Alleluia, exclamation, God be praised. Allergen, noun, a substance that causes an allergic reaction. Allergy, noun, a damaging immune response by the body to a substance, especially pollen, fur, a particular food, or dust. Alleviate, verb, to make suffering, deficiency, or a problem less severe. Alley, noun, a narrow passageway between or behind buildings. Alliance, noun, a union or association formed for mutual benefit, especially between countries or organizations. Allied, adjective, joined by an alliance. Alligator, noun, a large semi-aquatic reptile similar to a crocodile, but with a broader and shorter head. Alliterate, verb, to use or contain words that begin with the same sound. Allocate, verb, to distribute resources or duties for a particular purpose. Allot, verb, to give or apportion something to someone as a share or task. Allow, verb, to give the necessary time or opportunity for. To permit. Alloy, noun, a metal made by combining two or more metallic elements. Allspice, noun, the dried aromatic fruit of a Caribbean tree, used as a spice. Allude, verb, to suggest or call attention to indirectly. To hint at, allure. Noun, the quality of being powerfully and mysteriously attractive or fascinating. Allusion, noun, an expression designed to call something to mind without mentioning it explicitly. Alluvial, adjective, relating to or derived from alluvium, the deposit of clay, silt, and sand left by flowing floodwater. Alley, noun, a state formally cooperating with another for a military or other purpose. Almanac, noun, an annual calendar containing important dates and statistical information such as astronomical data and tide tables. Almighty, adjective, having complete power. Omnipotent, almond. Noun, the oval nut-like seed of the almond tree, growing in a woody shell. Almoner, noun, an official distributor of alms. Almost, adverb, not quite, very nearly, alms, noun, money or food given to poor people. Aloe, noun, a succulent plant with fleshy leaves, certain species of which yield a drug or a fiber. Aloft, adverb, up, in, or into the air. Overhead, aloha, exclamation, a Hawaiian word used when greeting or parting from someone. Alone, adjective, having no one else present. Along, preposition, moving in a constant direction on a path. Aloof, adjective, not friendly or forthcoming. Cool and distant. Aloud, adverb, audibly, not silently. Alpaca, noun, a long-haired domesticated South American mammal related to the llama. Alpha, noun, the first letter of the Greek alphabet. Alphabet, noun, a set of letters or symbols in a fixed order, used to represent the basic sounds of a language. Alpine, adjective, relating to high mountains. already. Adverb, before or by now or the time in question. Also, adverb, in addition to. Altar, noun. The table in a Christian church at which the bread and wine are consecrated in communion services. Alter, verb, to change or cause to change in character or composition. Altercation, noun. A noisy argument or disagreement, especially in public. Alternate verb, to occur in turn repeatedly. Alternative, noun. One of two or more available possibilities, although conjunction, in spite of the fact that even though altimeter, noun, an instrument for determining altitude attained, especially a barometric or radar device used in an aircraft. Altitude, noun, the height of an object or point in relation to sea level or ground level. Alto, noun, a voice, instrument, or part below the highest range and above the tenor. Altogether, adverb, completely, totally. Altruism, noun, the belief in or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. Alum, noun, a colorless astringent compound, typically a hydrated double sulfate of aluminum and potassium. Aluminum, noun, a light silvery gray metal. Alumnus, noun, a graduate or former student, always. Adverb, at all times, on all occasions. Am, verb, first person singular present of be. Amain, adverb, with full force or vigor. Amalgam, noun, a mixture or blend. Amanuensis, noun, a literary or artistic assistant, in particular one who takes dictation or copies manuscripts. Amaranth, noun, a plant of a genus that includes the love lies bleeding. Amass, verb, to gather together or accumulate over a period of time. Amateur, noun, a person who engages in a pursuit, especially a sport, on an unpaid basis. Amatory, adjective, relating to or induced by sexual love or desire. Amaze, verb, to surprise someone greatly, to fill with astonishment. Amazon, noun, a member of a legendary race of female warriors. Ambassador, noun, an accredited diplomat sent by a country as its official representative to a foreign country. Amber, noun, hard, translucent fossilized resin, typically yellowish in color. Ambergris, noun, a wax-like substance that originates as a secretion in the intestines of the sperm whale. Ambidextrous, adjective, able to use the right and left hands equally well. Ambient, adjective, relating to the immediate surroundings of something. Ambiguous, adjective, open to more than one interpretation, having a double meaning. Ambition, noun, a strong desire to do or to achieve something. Amble, verb, to walk or move at a slow, relaxed pace. Ambrosia, Noun, the food of the gods. Ambulance, noun, a vehicle equipped for taking sick or injured people to and from the hospital. Ambulant, adjective, able to walk about. Ambush, noun, a surprise attack by people lying in wait in a concealed position. Amoeba, noun, a single-celled animal that catches food and moves about by extending finger-like projections of protoplasm. Amen, exclamation, uttered at the end of a prayer or hymn, meaning so be it. Amenable, adjective, open and responsive to suggestion, easily persuaded or controlled. Amend, verb, to make minor changes in a text in order to make it fairer, more accurate, or more up-to-date. Amenity, noun, a desirable or useful feature or facility of a building or place. American, adjective, relating to the United States or its citizens. Amethyst, noun, a precious stone consisting of a violet or purple variety of quartz. Amiable, adjective, having or displaying a friendly and pleasant manner. Amicable, adjective, having a spirit of friendliness without serious disagreement or rancor. Amid, preposition surrounded by, in the middle of, amidships. Adverb, in the middle of a ship or aircraft. Amino, adjective, relating to an organic compound containing both a carboxyl and an amino group. Amiss, adjective, not quite right, inappropriate or out of place. Amity, noun, a friendly relationship. Ammeter, noun, an instrument for measuring electric current in amperes. Ammonia, noun, a colorless gas with a characteristic pungent smell. Ammunition, noun, a supply or quantity of bullets and shells. Amnesia, noun, a partial or total loss of memory. Amnesty, noun, an official pardon for people who have been convicted of political offenses. Amoeba, noun, a single-celled animal that catches food and moves about by extending finger-like projections of protoplasm. Amok, adverb, behave uncontrollably and disruptively. Among, preposition, surrounded by, in the company of. A moral, adjective, lacking a moral sense, unconcerned with the rightness or wrongness of something. Amorous, adjective, showing, feeling, or relating to sexual desire. Amorphous, adjective, without a clearly defined shape or form. Amortize, verb, to gradually write off the initial cost of an asset. Amount, noun, a quantity of something, typically the total of a thing or things in number, size, value, or extent. Amour, noun, a secret or illicit love affair. Amperage, noun, the strength of an electric current in amperes. Ampere, noun, a unit of electric current equal to a flow of 1 coulomb per second. Amphibian. Noun. A cold-blooded vertebrate animal of a class that comprises the frogs, toads, newts, and salamanders. Amphitheater. Noun. A round or oval building, typically unroofed, with a central space for the presentation of dramatic or sporting events. Amphora. Noun. A tall, ancient Greek or Roman jar or jug with 2 handles and a narrow neck. Ample. Adjective. Enough or more than enough. Plentiful. Amplify. Verb. To increase the volume of sound, especially using an amplifier. Amplitude. Noun. The maximum extent of a vibration or oscillation, measured from the position of equilibrium. Amputate. Verb. To cut off a limb by surgical operation. Amulet. Noun. An ornament or small piece of jewelry thought to give protection against evil, danger, or disease. Amuse. Verb. To cause someone to find something funny. To provide interesting and enjoyable occupation for. An determiner. The form of the indefinite article used before words beginning with a vowel sound. Anachronism. Noun. A thing belonging or appropriate to a period other than that in which it exists. Anaconda. Noun. A semi-aquatic snake of the boa family that may grow to a great size. Anagram. Noun. A word, phrase, or name formed by rearranging the letters of another. Analgesic. Adjective. Acting to relieve pain. Analog. Adjective. Relating to or using signals or information represented by a continuously variable physical quantity. Analogy. Noun. A comparison between 2 things, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. Analysis. Noun. Detailed examination of the elements or structure of something. Anarchy. Noun. A state of disorder due to absence or non-recognition of authority. Anatomy. Noun. The branch of science concerned with the bodily structure of humans, animals, and other living organisms. Ancestor. Noun. A person, typically one more remote than a grandparent, from whom one is descended. Anchor. Noun. A heavy object attached to a rope or chain and used to moor a vessel to the sea bottom. Anchovy. Noun. A small, common forage fish of the herring family. Ancient. Adjective. Belonging to the very distant past and no longer in existence. Ancillary. Adjective. Providing necessary support to the primary activities or operation of an organization, institution, industry, or system. And conjunction, used to connect words of the same part of speech, clauses or sentences that are to be taken jointly. Andante. Adverb. In a moderately slow tempo. Andiron. Noun. A metal support, typically one of a pair, that holds wood burning in a fireplace. Anecdote. Noun. a short, amusing or interesting story about a real incident or person. Anemone, noun, a plant of the buttercup family, typically having brightly colored flowers. Aneroid, adjective, relating to or denoting a barometer that measures air pressure by the action of the air in deforming the elastic lid of an evacuated box. Anesthesia, noun, insensitivity to pain, especially as artificially induced by the administration of gases or the injection of drugs. Aneurysm, noun, an excessive localized enlargement of an artery caused by a weakening of the artery wall. Anew, adverb, in a new or different and typically more positive way. Angel, noun, a spiritual being believed to act as an attendant, agent, or messenger of God. Anger, noun, a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Angina, noun, a condition marked by severe pain in the chest, caused by an inadequate blood supply to the heart. Angle, noun, the space, usually measured in degrees, between two intersecting lines or surfaces at or close to the point where they meet. Anglican, adjective, relating to or denoting the Church of England or any church in communion with it. Angora, noun, a goat of a breed with long silky hair. Angry, adjective, feeling or showing strong annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Angstrom, noun, a unit of length equal to 100 millionth of a centimeter. Anguish, noun, severe mental or physical pain or suffering. Angular, adjective, having angles or sharp corners. Anhydrous, adjective, containing no water. Aniline, noun, a colorless, oily liquid present in coal tar. Animadversion, noun, criticism or censure. Animal, noun, a living organism that feeds on organic matter, typically having specialized sense organs and nervous system. Animate, verb, to bring to life. Animism, noun, the attribution of a soul to plants, inanimate objects, and natural phenomena. Animosity, noun, strong hostility. Anise, noun, a Mediterranean plant of the parsley family, cultivated for its aromatic seeds. Ankle, noun, the joint connecting the foot with the leg. Anna, noun, a former monetary unit of India and Pakistan, equal to 1/16 of a rupee. Annals, noun, a record of events year by year. Anneal, verb, to heat metal or glass and allow it to cool slowly in order to remove internal stresses and toughen it. Annex, verb, to append or add as an extra or subordinate part. Annihilate, verb, to destroy utterly, to obliterate. Anniversary, noun, the date on which an event took place in a previous year. Annotate, verb, to add notes to a text or diagram giving explanation or comment. Announce, verb, to make a public and typically formal declaration about a fact, occurrence, or intention. Annoy, verb, to irritate someone, to make someone a little angry. Annual, adjective, occurring once every year. Annuity, noun, a fixed sum of money paid to someone each year, typically for the rest of their life. Annul, verb, to declare invalid, to make void. Annular, adjective, ring-shaped. Annunciate, verb, to announce. Anode, noun, the positively charged electrode by which the electrons leave a device. Anodyne, adjective, not likely to provoke dissent or offense. Inoffensive, anoint, verb, to smear or rub with oil, typically as part of a religious ceremony. Anomalous, adjective, deviating from what is standard, normal, or expected. Anomaly, noun, something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. Anon, adverb, soon, shortly. Anonymous, adjective, not identified by name. Another, determiner, used to refer to an additional person or thing of the same type as one already mentioned. Answer, noun, a thing said, written, or done to deal with or as a reaction to a question, statement, or situation. Ant, noun, a small insect, typically having a sting and living in a complex social colony with one or more breeding queens. Antacid, adjective, correcting acidity. Antagonism, noun, active hostility or opposition. Antarctic, adjective, relating to the South Polar region or Antarctica. Ante, noun, a stake put up by a player in poker and similar games before receiving cards. Antebellum, adjective, occurring or existing before a particular war, especially the American Civil War. Antecedent, noun, a thing or event that existed before or logically precedes another. Antechamber, noun, a small room leading to a main one. Antedate, verb, to precede in time, to come before something in date. Antediluvian, adjective, of or belonging to the time before the biblical flood. Antelope, noun, a swift-running deer-like ruminant with smooth hair and upward-pointing horns. Antenna, noun, a rod, wire, or other device used to transmit or receive radio or television signals. Anterior, adjective, nearer the front, especially situated in the front of the body or nearer to the head. Anthem, noun, a rousing or uplifting song identified with a particular group, body, or cause. Anther, noun, the part of a stamen that contains the pollen. Anthology, noun, a published collection of poems or other pieces of writing. Anthracite, noun, coal of a hard variety that contains relatively pure carbon and burns with little flame and smoke. Anthrax, noun, a serious bacterial disease of sheep and cattle, causing acute fatal septicemia or localized skin ulcers. Anthropoid, adjective, resembling a human being in form. Anthropology, noun, the study of human societies and cultures and their development. Anti, preposition, opposed to, against. Antibiotic, noun, a medicine that inhibits the growth of or destroys microorganisms. Antibody, noun, a blood protein produced in response to and counteracting a specific antigen. Antic, noun, a playful or funny act. Anticipate, verb, to regard as probable, to expect or predict. Anticlimax, noun, a disappointing end to an exciting or impressive series of events. Antidote, noun, a medicine taken or given to counteract a particular poison. Antifreeze, noun, a liquid added to the water in a cooling system to lower its freezing point. Antimony, noun, the chemical element of atomic number 51, a brittle, silvery white metalloid. Antipathy, noun, a deep-seated feeling of dislike, aversion. Antipasto, noun, an appetizer consisting of fish, meats, cheeses, and vegetables. Antipodes, noun, Australia and New Zealand, or any two places on opposite sides of the earth. Antiquarian, adjective, relating to or dealing in antiques or rare books. Antiquary, noun, a person who studies or collects antiques or ancient things. Antique, noun, a collectible object such as a piece of furniture or work of art that has a high value because of its considerable age. Antiquity, noun, the ancient past, especially the period before the Middle Ages. Antiseptic, adjective, preventing the growth of disease-causing microorganisms. Antisocial, adjective, contrary to the laws and customs of society, not sociable. Antithesis, noun, a person or thing that is the direct opposite of someone or something else. Antitoxin, noun, an antibody that counteracts a toxin. Antler, noun, each of the branched horns on the head of an adult deer. Antonym, noun, a word opposite in meaning to another. Anus, noun, the opening at the end of the alimentary canal through which solid waste matter leaves the body. Anvil, noun, a heavy steel or iron block with a flat top, concave sides, and a pointed end, on which metal can be hammered and shaped. Anxiety, noun, a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease. Anxious, adjective, experiencing worry, unease, or nervousness. Any determiner used to refer to one or some of a thing or number of things, no matter how much or how many. anybody, pronoun, anyone, anyhow, adverb, anyway, anyone, pronoun, any person or people, anything, pronoun, a thing of any kind, anyway, adverb, used to confirm or support a point or idea just mentioned. Anywhere, adverb, in or to any place. Aorta, noun, the main artery of the body, supplying oxygenated blood to the circulatory system. Apace, adverb, swiftly, quickly, apart, adverb, separated by a distance, at a specified distance from each other in time or space. Apartment, noun, a suite of rooms forming one residence, typically on one floor of a building. Apathetic, adjective, showing or feeling no interest, enthusiasm or concern. Apathy, noun, lack of interest, enthusiasm or concern. Ape, noun, a large primate that lacks a tail, including the gorilla, chimpanzees, orangutan, and gibbons. Aperture, noun, an opening, hole, or gap. Apex, noun, the top or highest part of something, especially one forming a point. Aphasia, noun, loss of ability to understand or express speech caused by brain damage. Aphid, noun, a small bug which feeds by sucking sap from plants. Aphorism, noun, a pithy observation that contains a general truth. Aphrodisiac, noun, a food, drink, or drug that stimulates sexual desire. Apiary, noun, a place where bees are kept, a collection of beehives. Apical, adjective, relating to or denoting an apex. Apiculture, noun, technical term for beekeeping. Apiece, adverb, to, for, or by each one of a group. Aplomb, noun, self-confidence or assurance, especially when in a demanding situation. Apocalypse, noun, the complete final destruction of the world, as described in the biblical book of Revelation. Apocrypha, noun, biblical or related writings not forming part of the accepted canon of Scripture. Apogee, noun, the point in the orbit of the moon or a satellite at which it is furthest from the earth. Apologetic, adjective, regretfully acknowledging or excusing an offense or failure. Apology, noun, a regretful acknowledgement of an offense or failure. Apoplexy, noun, unconsciousness or incapacity resulting from a cerebral hemorrhage or stroke. Apostasy, noun, the abandonment or renunciation of a religious or political belief. Apostle, noun, each of the 12 chief disciples of Jesus Christ. Apostrophe, noun, a punctuation mark used to indicate either possession or the omission of letters or numbers. Apothecary, noun, a person who prepared and sold medicines and drugs. Apothegm, noun, a concise saying or maxim, an aphorism. Apotheosis, noun, the highest point in the development of something, culmination or climax. Appall, verb, to greatly dismay or horrify. Apparatus, noun, the technical equipment or machinery needed for a particular activity or purpose. Apparel, noun, clothing. Apparent, adjective, clearly visible or understood, obvious. Apparition, noun, a ghost or ghost-like image of a person. Appeal, verb, to make a serious or urgent request, typically to the public. Appear, verb, to come into sight, to become visible. Appease, verb, to pacify or placate someone by acceding to their demands. Appellant, noun, a person who applies to a higher court for a reversal of the decision of a lower court. Appellate, adjective, concerned with or dealing with applications for decisions to be reversed. Append, verb, to add something as an attachment or supplement. Appendage, noun, a thing that is added or attached to something larger or more important. Appendicitis, noun, a serious medical condition in which the appendix becomes inflamed and painful. Appendix, noun, a tube-shaped sac attached to and opening into the lower end of the large intestine. Appertain, verb, to relate to concern. Appetite, noun, a natural desire to satisfy a bodily need, especially for food. Applaud, verb, to show approval or praise by clapping. Apple, noun, the round fruit of a tree of the rose family, which typically has thin red or green skin and crisp flesh. Appliance, noun, a device or piece of equipment designed to perform a specific task, typically a domestic one. Applicable, adjective, relevant or appropriate. Applicant, noun, a person who makes a formal application for something, typically a job. Application, noun, a formal request to an authority for something. Apply, verb, to make a formal application or request. Appoint, verb, to assign a job or role to someone. Apportion, verb, to divide and allocate. Apposite, adjective, apt in the circumstances or in relation to something. Appraise, verb, to assess the value or quality of. Appreciable, adjective, large or important enough to be noticed. Appreciate, verb, to recognize the full worth of. Apprehend, verb, to arrest someone for a crime, to understand or perceive. Apprentice, noun, a person who is learning a trade from a skilled employer. Apprise, verb, to inform or tell someone. Approach, verb, to come near or nearer to in distance or time. Approbation, noun, approval or praise, appropriate adjective, suitable or proper in the circumstances. Approval, noun, the action of approving something. Approve, verb, to officially agree to or accept as satisfactory. Approximate adjective, close to the actual, but not completely accurate or exact. Appurtenance, noun, an accessory or other item associated with a particular activity or style of living. Apricot, noun, a juicy, soft fruit resembling a small peach of an orange-yellow color. April, noun, the fourth month of the year. Apron, noun, a protective garment worn over the front of one's clothes and tied at the back. Apropos, preposition, with reference to, concerning. Apse, noun, a large semicircular or polygonal recess in a church, arched or with a domed roof. Apt, adjective, appropriate or suitable in the circumstances. Apteryx, noun, akiwi. Aqua, noun, water, a light bluish-green color. Aquarium, noun, a transparent tank of water in which fish and other water creatures and plants are kept. Aquatic, adjective, relating to water. Aqueduct, noun, an artificial channel for conveying water, typically in the form of a bridge across a valley. Aqueous, adjective, of or containing water, typically as a solvent or medium. Aquiline, adjective, like an eagle, curved like an eagle's beak. Arab, noun, a member of a Semitic people, originally from the Arabian Peninsula and neighboring territories. Arabesque, noun, an ornamental design consisting of intertwined flowing lines, originally found in Arabic or Moorish decoration. Arable, adjective, used or suitable for growing crops. Arbiter, noun, a person who settles a dispute or has ultimate authority in a matter. Arbitrary, adjective, based on random choice or personal whim rather than any reason or system. Arbitrate, verb, to reach an authoritative judgment or settlement. Arbor, noun, a shady garden alcove formed by trees or climbing plants trained over a wooden framework. Arboreal, adjective, living in trees. Arboretum, noun, a botanical garden devoted to trees. Arbutus, noun, an evergreen tree or shrub of the heath family, with white or pink flowers and strawberry-like berries. Arc, noun, a part of the circumference of a circle or other curve. Arcade, noun, a covered passageway with arches along one or both sides. Arcane, adjective, understood by few, mysterious or secret. Arch, noun, a curved, symmetrical structure spanning an opening and typically supporting the weight of a bridge, roof, or wall above it. Archaeology, noun, the the study of human history and prehistory through the excavation of sites and the analysis of artifacts. Archaic, adjective, very old or old-fashioned. Archangel, noun, an angel of greater than ordinary rank. Archbishop, noun, the chief bishop responsible for an archdiocese. Archduke, noun, a son of the Emperor of Austria. Archer, noun, a person who shoots with a bow and arrows. Archetype, noun, a very typical example of a certain person or thing. Archipelago, noun, a group of islands. Architect, noun, a person who designs buildings and in many cases also supervises their construction. Archive, noun, a collection of historical documents or records providing information about a place, institution, or group of people. Archon, noun, each of the 9 chief magistrates in ancient Athens. Arctic, adjective, relating to the regions around the North Pole. Ardent, adjective, enthusiastic or passionate. Ardor, noun, enthusiasm or passion. Arduous, adjective, involving or requiring strenuous effort, difficult and tiring. Area, noun, a region or part of a town, a country, or the world. Arena, noun, a level area surrounded by seats for spectators, in which sports, entertainments, and other public events are held. Argent, noun, silver or silvery white. Argon, noun, the chemical element of atomic number 18, an inert gaseous element of the noble gas group. Argosy, noun, a large merchant ship, originally one of Venice or Ragusa. Argue, verb, to give reasons or cite evidence in support of an idea, action, or theory, typically with the aim of persuading others to share one's view. Aria, noun, a long accompanied song for a solo voice, typically one in an opera or oratorio. Arid, adjective, having little or no rain, too dry or barren to support vegetation. Aries, noun, the first sign of the zodiac, the ram. Aright, adverb, correctly, rightly. Arise, verb, to emerge, to become apparent. Aristocracy, noun, the highest class in certain societies, especially those holding hereditary titles or offices. Arithmetic, noun, the branch of mathematics dealing with the properties and manipulation of numbers. Ark, noun, the ship built by Noah to save his family and 2 of every kind of animal from the flood. Arm, noun, each of the 2 upper limbs of the human body from the shoulder to the hand. Armada, noun, a fleet of warships. Armadillo, noun, a nocturnal insectivorous mammal that has large claws for digging and a body covered in bony plates. Armament, noun, military weapons and equipment. Armature, noun, the rotating coil or coils of a dynamo or electric motor. Armistice, noun. An agreement made by opposing sides in a war to stop fighting for a certain time. A truce. Armor, noun. The metal coverings formerly worn by soldiers or warriors to protect the body in battle. Armory, noun. A place where arms are kept. Army, noun. An organized military force equipped for fighting on land. Aroma, noun. A distinctive, typically pleasant smell. Arose, verb, past tense of arise. Around, adverb, located or situated on every side. Arouse, verb, to evoke or awaken a feeling, emotion or response. Arpeggio, noun. The notes of a chord played in succession, either ascending or descending. Arraign, verb. To call or bring someone before a court to answer a criminal charge. Arrange, verb. To put things in a neat, attractive, or required order. Arrant, adjective. Complete, utter. Arras, noun. A rich tapestry, typically hung on the walls of a room or used to conceal an alcove. Array, noun. An impressive display or range of a particular type of thing. Arrears, noun. Money that is owed and should have been paid earlier. Arrest, verb. To seize someone by legal authority and take into custody. Arrival, noun. The action or process of arriving. Arrive, verb. To reach a place at the end of a journey or a stage in a journey. Arrogant, adjective. Having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. Arrogant, verb. To take or claim something without justification. Arrow, noun. A shaft sharpened at the front and with feathers or veins at the back, shot from a bow as a weapon or for sport. Arrowroot, noun. A herbaceous Caribbean plant from which a starch is prepared. Arsenal, noun. A collection of weapons and military equipment stored by a country, person, or group. Arsenic, noun. The chemical element of atomic number 33, a brittle steel-gray metalloid. Arson, noun. The criminal act of deliberately setting fire to property. Art, noun. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. Arterial, adjective. Relating to an artery or arteries. Artery, noun. Any of the muscular-walled tubes forming part of the circulation system by which blood is conveyed from the heart to all parts of the body. Artesian, adjective. Relating to or denoting a well bored perpendicularly into water-bearing strata lying at an angle. Artful, adjective. Clever or skillful, typically in a crafty or cunning way. Arthritis, noun. painful inflammation and stiffness of the joints. Artichoke, noun, a European plant cultivated for its large thistle-like flower heads. Article, noun, a particular item or object, a piece of writing included with others in a newspaper, magazine, or other publication. Articulate, adjective, having or showing the ability to speak fluently and coherently. Artifact, noun, an object made by a human being, typically an item of cultural or historical interest. Artifice, noun, clever or cunning devices or expedients, especially as used to trick or deceive others. Artillery, noun, large caliber guns used in warfare on land. Artisan, noun, a worker in a skilled trade, especially one that involves making things by hand. Artist, noun, a person who produces paintings or drawings as a profession or hobby. Artless, adjective, without guile or deception. Aryan, noun, a member of the ancient Aryan people. As adverb, used in comparisons to refer to the extent or degree of something. Asafoetida, noun, a fetid resinous gum obtained from the roots of a herbaceous plant, used in herbal medicine and Indian cooking. Asbestos, noun, a heat-resistant fibrous silicate mineral that can be woven into fabrics. Ascend, verb, to go up or climb. Ascendant, adjective, rising in power or influence. Ascension, noun, the action of rising to an important position or a higher level. Ascent, noun, a climb or walk to the summit of a mountain or hill. Ascertain, verb, to find something out for certain, to make sure of. Ascetic, adjective, characterized by or suggesting the practice of severe self-discipline and abstention from all forms of indulgence. Ascribe, verb, to attribute something to. Aseptic, adjective, free from contamination caused by harmful bacteria, viruses, or other microorganisms. Ash, noun, the powdery residue left after the burning of a substance. A tree of the olive family. Ashamed, adjective, embarrassed or guilty because of one's actions, characteristics, or associations. Ashen, adjective, of the pale grey color of ash. Ashlar, noun, masonry made of large square-cut stones, used as a facing on walls of brick or rubble. Ashore, adverb, to or on the shore, from the direction of the sea. Aside, adverb, to one side, out of the way. Asinine, adjective, extremely stupid or foolish. Ask, verb, to say something in order to obtain an answer or some information. Askance, adverb, with an attitude or look of suspicion or disapproval. Askew, adverb, not in a straight or level position. Aslant, adverb, at an angle or in a sloping direction. Asleep, adjective, in a state of sleep. Asp, noun. A small southern European viper that has an upturned snout. Asparagus, noun. A tall plant of the lily family with fine feathery foliage. Aspect, noun. A particular part or feature of something. Aspen, noun. A poplar tree with rounded, long-stalked leaves that tremble in the breeze. Asperity, noun. Harshness of tone or manner. Asperse, verb. To attack or criticize the reputation or integrity of. Asphalt, noun. A mixture of dark bituminous pitch with sand or gravel, used for surfacing roads, flooring, roofing, etc. Asphyxia, noun. A condition arising when the body is deprived of oxygen, causing unconsciousness or death. Aspic, noun. A savory jelly made with meat stock, set in a mold and used to contain pieces of meat, seafood, or eggs. Aspirant, noun. A person who has ambitions to achieve something. Aspiration, noun. A hope or ambition of achieving something. Aspire, verb. To direct one's hopes or ambitions toward achieving something. Aspirin, noun. A synthetic compound used medicinally to relieve mild or chronic pain and to reduce fever and inflammation. As, noun. A hoofed mammal of the horse family with long ears and a braying call. A donkey. Assail, verb. To make a concerted or violent attack on. Assassin, noun. A murderer of an important person in a surprise attack for political or religious reasons. Assault, verb. To make a physical attack on. Assay, noun. The testing of a metal or ore to determine its ingredients and quality. Assemble, verb. To gather together in one place for a common purpose. Assembly, noun. A group of people gathered together in one place for a common purpose. Assent, verb. To express approval or agreement, typically officially. Assert, verb. To state a fact or belief confidently and forcefully. Assess, verb. To evaluate or estimate the nature, ability, or quality of. Asset, noun. A useful or valuable thing, person, or quality. Asseverate, verb. To declare or state solemnly or emphatically. Assiduous adjective, showing great care and perseverance. Assign, verb. To allocate, to give. Assimilate, verb. To take in information, ideas, or culture and understand fully. Assist, verb. To help, typically by doing a share of the work. Assize, noun. A court that formerly sat at intervals in each county of England and Wales to administer the civil and criminal law. Associate verb. To connect with something else in one's mind. Assonance, noun. In poetry, the repetition of the sound of a vowel or diphthong in non-rhyming stressed syllables near enough to each other for the echo to be discernible. Assort, verb, to classify. Assuage, verb, to make an unpleasant feeling less intense. Assume, verb, to suppose to be the case, without proof. Assurance, noun, a positive declaration intended to give confidence. Assure, verb, to tell someone something positively or confidently to dispel any doubts they may have. Aster, noun, a plant of the daisy family that has bright rayed flowers, typically of purple or pink. Asterisk, noun, a symbol used to mark printed or written text, typically as a reference to an annotation or to stand for omitted matter. Astern, adverb, behind or toward the rear of a ship or aircraft. Asteroid, noun, a small rocky body orbiting the sun. Asthma, noun, a respiratory condition marked by spasms in the bronchi of the lungs, causing difficulty in breathing. Astigmatism, noun, a defect in the eye or in a lens caused by a deviation from spherical curvature. Astir, adjective, in a state of excited movement. Astonish, verb, to surprise or impress someone greatly. Astound, verb, to shock or greatly surprise. Astrakhan, noun, the dark curly fleece of young karakul lambs from Central Asia. Astral, adjective, relating to or resembling the stars. Astray, adverb, away from the correct path or direction. Astride, preposition, with a leg on each side of. Astringent, adjective, causing the contraction of body tissues, typically of the skin. Astrology, noun, the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies, interpreted as having an influence on human affairs and the natural world. Astronaut, noun, a person who is trained to travel in a spacecraft. Astronomy, noun, the branch of science that deals with celestial objects, space, and the physical universe as a whole. Astute, adjective, having or showing an ability to accurately assess situations or people and turn this to one's advantage. Asunder, adverb, apart, divided. Asylum, noun, the protection granted by a nation to someone who has left their native country as a political refugee. Asymmetric, adjective, having parts that fail to correspond to one another in shape, size, or arrangement. At, preposition, expressing location or time. Atavism, noun, a tendency to revert to something ancient or ancestral. Ater, verb, past tense of eat. Atelier, noun, a workshop or studio, especially one used by an artist or designer. Atheist, noun, a person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of God or gods. Athlete, noun, a person who is proficient in sports and other forms of physical exercise. Athletic, adjective, physically strong, fit, and active. Athwart, preposition, from side to side of, across, atlas, noun, a book of maps or charts, atmosphere, noun, the envelope of gases surrounding the Earth or another planet, atoll, noun, a ring-shaped reef, island, or chain of islands formed of coral, atom, noun, the basic unit of a chemical element, atomic, adjective, relating to an atom or atoms, atonal, adjective, not written in any key or mode, atone, verb, to make amends or reparation, atop, preposition, on the top of, atrium, noun, an open-roofed entrance hall or central court in an ancient Roman house, atrocious, adjective, horrifyingly wicked, atrophy, verb, to waste away, typically due to the degeneration of cells, attach verb, to fasten, join, or connect, attaché, noun, a person on the staff of an ambassador having a specialized area of responsibility, attack, verb, to take aggressive action against, attain, verb, to succeed in achieving, attar, noun, a fragrant essential oil, typically made from rose petals, attempt, verb, to make an effort to achieve or complete, attend, verb, to be present at, to deal with, attention, noun, notice taken of someone or something, the regarding of someone or something as interesting or important, attenuate, verb, to reduce the force, effect, or value of, attest, verb, to provide or serve as clear evidence of, attic, noun, a space or room just below the roof of a building, attire, noun, clothes, especially fine or formal ones, attitude, noun, a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, attorney, noun, a person appointed to act for another in business or legal matters, attract, verb, to cause to come to a place or participate in a venture by offering something of interest or advantage, attribute, verb, to regard something as being caused by, attrition, noun, the action or process of gradually reducing the strength or effectiveness of someone or something through sustained attack or pressure, attune, verb, to make receptive or aware, typical, adjective, having the distinctive qualities of a particular type of person or thing, auburn, adjective, reddish-brown, usually describing hair, auction, noun, a public sale in which goods or property are sold to the highest bidder, audacious, adjective, showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks, audible, adjective, able to be heard, audience, noun, the assembled spectators or listeners at a public event, audit, noun, an official inspection of an individual's or organization's accounts, audition, noun. An interview for a role or job as a singer, actor, dancer, or musician. Auditor, noun. A person who conducts an audit. Auditory, adjective, relating to the sense of hearing. Auger, noun. A tool with a helical bit for boring holes in wood. Augment, verb. To make something greater by adding to it. Augur, verb. To portend a good or bad outcome. August, noun. The 8th month of the year. Adjective, respected and impressive. Auk, noun. A diving seabird of the North Atlantic. Aunt, noun. The sister of one's father or mother, or the wife of one's uncle. Aura, noun. The distinctive atmosphere or quality that seems to surround and be generated by a person, thing, or place. Oral, adjective, relating to the ear or the sense of hearing. Aureole, noun. A circle of light or brightness surrounding something, especially as depicted in art around the head or body of a person represented as holy. Auricle, noun. A structure resembling an ear. Aurora, noun. A natural electrical phenomenon characterized by the appearance of streamers of reddish or greenish light in the sky. Auspices, noun. A divine or prophetic token. Auspicious, adjective, conducive to success. Favorable, austere, adjective. Severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. Australian, adjective, relating to Australia, authentic, adjective, of undisputed origin, genuine. Author, noun, a writer of a book, article, or report. Authority, noun, the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. Authorize, verb, to give official permission for or approval to. Auto, noun, a car or automobile. Autobiography, noun, an account of a person's life written by that person. Autocracy, noun, a system of government by one person with absolute power. Autograph, noun, a signature, especially that of a celebrity written as a memento for an admirer. Automatic, adjective, working by itself with little or no direct human control. Automaton, noun, a moving mechanical device made in imitation of a human being. Automobile, noun, a car. Autonomous, adjective, having the freedom to govern itself or control its own affairs. Autopsy, noun, a post-mortem examination to discover the cause of death or the extent of disease. Autumn, noun, the 3rd season of the year, when crops and fruits are gathered and leaves fall. Auxiliary, adjective, providing supplementary or additional help and support. Avail, verb, to help or benefit. Avalanche, noun, a mass of snow, ice, and rocks falling rapidly down a mountainside. Avarice, noun, extreme greed for wealth or material gain. Avatar, noun, a manifestation of a deity or released soul in bodily form on earth. Ave, exclamation, hail, avenge. Verb, to inflict harm in return for an injury or wrong done to oneself or another. Avenue, noun, a broad road in a town or city, typically having trees at regular intervals along its sides. Ava, verb, to state or assert to be the case. Average, noun, a number expressing the central or typical value in a set of data. Averse, adjective, having a strong dislike of or opposition to something. Aversion, noun, a strong dislike or disinclination. Avert, verb, to turn away, to prevent or ward off. Aviary, noun, a large cage, building, or enclosure for keeping birds in. Aviation, noun, the flying or operating of aircraft. Aviator, noun, a pilot. Avid, adjective, having or showing a keen interest in or enthusiasm for something. Avocado, noun, a pear-shaped fruit with a rough leathery skin, smooth, oily, edible flesh, and a large stone. Avocation, noun, a hobby or minor occupation. Avoid, verb, to keep away from or stop oneself from doing. Avoir du poids, noun, a system of weights based on a pound of 16 ounces or 7,000 grains. Avow, verb, to assert or confess openly. Await, verb, to wait for. Awake, verb, to stop sleeping, to wake from sleep. Awaken, verb, to wake. Award, verb, to give or order the giving of something as an official payment, compensation, or prize. Aware, adjective, having knowledge or perception of a situation or fact. Awash, adjective, covered or flooded with water. Away, adverb, to or at a distance from a particular place, person or thing. Or, noun, a feeling of reverential respect mixed with fear or wonder. Awful, adjective, very bad or unpleasant. A while, adverb, for a short time. Awkward, adjective, causing difficulty, hard to do or deal with. All, noun, a small pointed tool used for piercing holes, especially in leather. Awn, noun, a stiff bristle growing from the ear or flower of barley, rye, and many grasses. Awning, noun, a sheet of canvas or other material stretched on a frame and used to keep the sun or rain off a storefront, window, doorway, or deck. Awry, adverb, away from the appropriate, planned, or expected course. Axe, noun, a tool used for chopping wood, typically of iron with a steel edge and wooden handle. Axiom, noun, a statement or proposition that is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true. Axis, noun, an imaginary line about which a body rotates. Axle, noun, a rod or spindle, either fixed or rotating, passing through the center of a wheel or group of wheels. Exclamation. Yes. Azalea, noun, a deciduous flowering shrub of the heath family with clusters of brightly colored flowers. Azure, adjective, bright blue in color, like a cloudless sky. End of list. End of dictionary. End.